Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 21 preview show. So we've got captaincy to look at in a big way this week, with Salah facing one of the top defences in the league. We'll also be doing a couple of match previews and obviously bookending that by how we got on last game week, as well as sharing our lineups. We've been away a little bit of time, haven't we, Keek? But we're back.
We have, yeah.
I can't believe how many game weeks passed. I had a look at the last show and it was like game week 17.
Yeah, that Christmas period, caught up with us, didn't it?
So I know, right? Yeah, but we back more regularly between now and the end of the season. But yeah, I think Christmas just got a little bit too hectic. All right, let's recap where we are and where we've been and what we're doing. You can go first, Keek.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to recap last week, but yeah. So maybe like 5 weeks ago, I was kind of like live rank of around 15k. And last week I've ended up back at 150k. So all my hard work of staying in the top, 50k has been just outdone by that last week, really. Game week rank of in the 8 millions, nearly 9 million.
What was it? Wow.
Yeah. So I got 49 points overall. Not good. Basically Palmer and Salah returning, Gordon and Isak basically all pretty high owned, and everyone else doing nothing. Pedro, I benched him for Hall, which was obviously a terrible decision in hindsight. And yeah, Verbruggen can't keep a clean sheet to save his life, and just general not going well at the moment. So I'm considering wildcard. I'm considering lots of things, but obviously I might even just roll still. So it's been a roller coaster, let's say.
I know, it must have been. Well, I'm trying to think how many we did get a preview for game week 17. So I think we missed missed 3. But yeah, I had a look when I was doing the ranks a minute ago and updating the graphics. It was like 15 or 18k or something when we last did the show for you.
Yep.
Not had a series of. What do you think's caused the? We've been chatting about it anyway, but I think that all that expensive bench is probably not helping, because you probably benched a few points.
Yeah, I think I have. And yeah, just not getting on, not having a Buemo last week was the big thing. Oh, yeah. Just I don't really know. Just missing a few of the hauls. Trent, spending money on Trent after, like, I probably should have got rid of him after his haul. I feel like that might have been a good idea to do. But yeah, just the players that I've got, like Saar and people like that, and Jackson, just the differentials not doing anything at all. And yeah, Saar is just one that, like, he's great fixtures, but he's just, as soon as I've got him, he's blanked 3 games in a row for me. So and that spot is taking up sort of kind of a little bit of the budget, because I've got 2 sort of 5 million price midfielders. So it's like it's just not going well.
Neither of the ones you play every week.
Exactly. Yeah,
tricky. Cool. All right. Well, I had just like a stonker, mainly because of Mbuemo, but yeah, I've had a decent run over Christmas. I was 540 on the last graphics. I went 540, bounced around a bit, was down at like 340, went back up to 480. But yeah, I've had 2 consecutive jumpy weeks, and just now inside the top 200k for the first time this season. So Chris Wood smashed it for me. Milenkovic has just been an absolute beast. I've played him basically I think I've played him for like the last 5 or 6 weeks, and he's returned in every one. So he's been so good. And Mbuemo, Gordon, I got like you last week, and I played Pedro because, like I said I think it was the last show we did, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I was irritated at that point because I still had Semenyo and I was benching points, and I was like, I'm just gonna go cheap in defence, and I think I got Dibbling back so I could afford Trent, Mbuemo and Isak, and that's come in such a big way, because Trent had that 15-point haul game, Isak had the 17-point haul, and Mbuemo had the 19-point haul, so I captured all of those by just having Dibbling on my bench. So yeah, it's worked out, and I don't think the team looks so great this week because I've got double Forest, but at home against Liverpool, who've been a bit sloppier recently, is not bad. So yeah, onwards, I think. Onwards.
Indeed.
All right, that brings us to the previews. Let's jump in. So we've got games to talk about first. We're going to talk a little bit about captaincy, obviously, because I think it's a big decision this week, and then maybe a little bit on João Pedro as well. What to do there.
Yeah, and they've I don't know if you've even seen, but they've announced all the assistant manager prices and things.
Have they? I've not even seen that.
So,
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, that's probably something we should just briefly touch on at
Oh
some
okay.
point.
Oh god. Is it on
Um,
the how do I
it's
access
on
it?
it's on the Twitter. It's got
Oh okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
full list of prices on their Twitter. So
All right.
yeah, it probably is on the site as well. But yeah,
I thought they'd added it to the game.
yeah, I'm not sure it's in the game yet. But
Okay.
anyway, so first matchup we want to talk about is Brentford versus City.
Yeah.
Two kind of getting into form teams.
Mm-hmm.
Man City kind of getting better, obviously. But yeah, last six, Brentford's form is like win, loss, draw, loss, win. So kind of mixed. City's has obviously been pretty bad, but draw, loss, draw, win. So they're picking up 2 wins in a row, starting to improve. Obviously had the good fixtures for it. Yeah, Brentford's XG of 8.96 is ninth overall for the last 6 weeks, and then 7.7 XGC is eighth. So their defense has certainly improved recently. City's XG 9.19, which is ninth as well. That must be 10th, so just slightly, actually no, eighth, just slightly ahead of Brentford. And then the 7.8 XGC is ninth, so they're kind of roughly around the same area right now. You wouldn't usually say that, but XGC and XG is pretty close to each other at the moment. So this should be, you'd think, a kind of good game for both teams, like possibly quite open. And then, yeah, as the thumbnail kind of says, like Haaland, are we getting back onto him? Because 30% owned is obviously dropped massively in ownership. I think if you went early on a wild card when it came out and get onto him the last 2 games, you've probably done pretty well. Yeah, Salah didn't do a huge lot. He got 2 goals compared to Salah's 1 last week. So if you captained him, you probably gained a lot of rank as well. So yeah, recently he's got 8 and 13 his last 2, obviously against Leicester and West Ham United. So is that bad opponents possibly? But yeah, he's not dropped below 0.8 XG in the last 3, and then he's had an XGI of over 1 in the last 2. So that's proving that he's evolved again and doing a lot more than he was in the last 6 or something weeks, wasn't he? So yeah, upcoming opponents, obviously Brentford this week. Then they got Ipswich and Chelsea after that, and I would say those are teams that have pretty porous defensives. So he's looking like he could haul in any of those.
Yeah.
He's back to the top of the forwards charts as well, obviously briefly dropping to second. So 123, which is top by around about 10, I think, ish. I haven't actually looked. But yeah, like his stats wise, the last 6 weeks, his XG of 3.69 is second, shots 15 is fifth overall, big chances second, XGI of 4.1 is second. So he does kind of fall some way short of Isak's stats. So Isak is basically first on everything at the moment, but I do kind of expect him to catch up. So, these fixtures are obviously good for him. So I'd say he's a differential captain as of now, because this week looks like a great fixture to captain him, where people are looking at possible other Salah options. So yeah, this fixture looks like it's going to be open. Like in previous years, these two have matched up well, and there's been lots of goals. So yeah, I really like it for him this week. I've sort of put myself as not owning Haaland all season, but at this point where he's got such a low ownership, it feels like it's something with my team that kind of looks in a little bit of disarray. Wildcarding to get him in or something, or taking a couple of hits might be something I'll be looking at. So
yeah, we thought he was going to. I was going to say we thought he was going to be good for the batch of games. We were like looking at them pre-Christmas, saying that Everton, Leicester, West Ham, still Brentford, and Ipswich games look great. And if he hadn't have had that penalty saved in that Everton game, he could have continued that return even longer. I mean, I still don't know if I trust City being better. Like I was having a look at him for captaincy, and the fact that they had, I think the key stat was they had less possession than Leicester, and then fewer shots against West Ham. So I mean, those are kind of red flags for they're not quite back at it yet. But yeah, the fact that he's returned at for 2 games in a row just recently, and then in the Crystal Palace and Forest games fairly recently too, maybe there's something there. And I think also as well with the uncertainty a little bit about Trent's future, as well as the fact that Liverpool definitely aren't as tight at the back as they were at the start of the season with Saka out. There is budget available if you wanted to do it to go there and just get a different premium. But I mean, it will require a little bit of team structure changing. Someone who was in our chat just then, Biblical Reaction says he played his second wild card to get him in, and you're right, 30%. Most of those people are going to be people that have had him from the start and not got rid of him. So there's an opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, and with sort of like Pedro kind of possibly injured now as well, like there's an opportunity to sort of trade him up maybe. Obviously he is cheap, but if you could remove Trent and a couple, maybe like 3 transfers, you could probably do it, I reckon, and you'd probably still get decent enough replacements. Someone like Mikalenko at Everton with like the 4.3 million with their double coming up, like cheap defense possibly seems like the way to go at the moment. Like have Gabriel, Hall, and like someone else, and then you're probably okay. So yeah, the other person I just want to mention, Mbeumo, obviously, like everyone knows about him now. 7.8 million, 32% when I did the notes, probably gone up. But yeah, last 6 weeks, since I basically didn't own him, 13, 9, 2, 3, 7, and 19. So just been really good, basically. After that sort of run of doing nothing at all, like literally nothing, and he's gone the complete opposite way, and he's just hauling most weeks now. So yeah, only Isak and Salah have scored more points than him over the last 6, which is 53 versus their 58. So he's only just behind, and obviously third highest scoring mid, some way ahead of the fourth. He's on 136 versus 107, which is the 4th highest scoring mid. So that's a big difference to Saka, I think it is. So he's obviously providing significant value for money right now. This is sort of what we expected. If he's getting up to that 8 million price, what we expected Bruno to be getting, absolutely. To be honest. It's someone who's on pen set pieces like Mbeumo is. So yeah, for non-owners like myself, I think it's probably worth playing the fixtures and kind of waiting until game week 23. I think the next 2, obviously Man City and Liverpool. I think it's probably not the right time to bring him in if you don't have him. So obviously, as harsh as or sort of scared as I am, because he could easily get a penalty in a City game and do something against Liverpool. That's not against, Liverpool's defense has not been so good. City's is a bit porous, as we said. So but I think on paper you probably avoid him for now.
I rub my hands together at that thought, because I feel like lots of people aren't going to do it, but he's just been so good, and City haven't been great. I feel like if City let in, I think it was 21 shots they conceded to West Ham at home. If they concede 21 shots to Brentford, who are like a fairly decent attacking, I feel like Mbeumo's going to have another good game, as is Wissa.
Yeah, I mean, last week I was looking at Mbeumo and Gordon in for Bruno and Sarr, and I just kept Sarr thinking, it's just too early to get rid of him, and I should have just done it. I would have had the Mbeumo haul. I would have been absolutely, if Gordon got points, I would have been absolutely fine, and I absolutely would not be 150k right now. So it is what it is. But just stats wise, XG of 2.4, which is 3rd of midfielders. Big chances 5, 2nd. Shots 14, which is not actually in the top 10 for mids at the moment. But then 14 key passes, which is 5th, 4 big chances created, which is 9th, and then a 1.52 XA, which is 8th. So his stats, to be honest, aren't amazing. His XG is pretty good, big chances is decent, but the rest, he's not creating that much. He's not shooting that much. So I don't know, maybe it's wishful thinking that he doesn't do much in the next 2. So we'll see. You obviously happy to get him. Would you advocate for people to just be on him at the moment, or wait?
I think you're right. Apart from that patch, which did coincide, to be fair to you, at the time he made a decent decision, because he'd just come off. I'm just looking at his numbers here. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row. The total XG he amassed in that time was 0.09. I can't quite remember when you played your wild card to get rid of him.
It was 12.
Was it 12? That's right.
I think so, yeah.
So you did have 3 games in a row where, he blanked. And to be fair, he has blanked in a home game against Forest and Brighton. But, he's hauled, basically. And it's maybe not I don't know.
It's probably just one you just keep. You just keep him in your team, and because he's on penalties and Brentford are attacking, right?
Exactly. And he's I'm just having a look at all his minutes. He's basically missed 5 minutes all season, and I'd say he's more reliable attacker than the Bruno is, who's the next one down, I think, from the premium options this season now that Saka's out. Yeah, I just think his ownership's probably still going to shoot up, and I don't even mind these back-to-back home fixtures against City and Liverpool. Well, Liverpool have got a busy January. City's form has not been great, and Biblical Reaction in the chat's mentioned about how many players they're going to be buying, but I could see him returning in both those games, to be honest.
Yeah, Liverpool got a bunch of injuries in defence as well, so And Trent's obviously not been particularly good recently, other than that Hall. But
I
yeah,
think
the defense,
Robertson's been like way off it as well. Like he's given away some, been in trouble. Nothing's barely been said about him compared to Trent.
Yeah, I mean the people who are injured is like Gomez and Kwanzaa. They're fringe, but like Konate's just come back at the right time. So Konate, Van Dijk, Trent, and Robson's like, they still have good defense, but they're not looking as good. Like Trent is just like, I can't remember which game it was. There was just some pictures of him just trying to defend, and it was just absolutely awful. Was it the 0 pointer? Who did he play last week? That
he played United. It was when he was like jogging around.
Yeah, he was just jogging, and it was just shocking to see, to be honest, especially in a game like that, the rivalry. So yeah.
No, I think it. Yeah, if you're on the fence about Boomer, I think it even now is last night, not too early to get him, to be honest. But appreciate there's other priorities. Should we have a little bit of a chat about captaincy before we do the next preview?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's definitely. I think definitely it's a big topic this week. Like it does seem on paper that Salah should be, the auto pick captain. When I was doing the stats, I was actually just having a look back, and it's not. You just take for granted that he's going to get points. And I was looking back at all of his numbers, and it was game week 7 the last time he blanked when he got a 3-pointer, which is absolutely nuts. And I think he's only blanked in 2 games this season. Just insane numbers. But I do think, given how good Forest have been defensively this season, he blanked recently just in the cup against Spurs the other night. He faces the only team who have come to Anfield and won this season and kept a clean sheet when he blanked. I kind of think it's justified this week to look elsewhere. I mean, I don't know how to quantify like Forest as a team and how they've like been able to be this good this season.
Like 3rd in the league, aren't they?
Insane. I think they've only
might even be 2nd, I think.
Yeah, I think they've conceded the second fewest amount of goals, I think, just after Arsenal, and their defensive numbers are crazy. I mean, I did watch like a little bit of the Wolves game the other night, and they did give up a couple of big chances. Made me think maybe swerving from Salah is not such a great idea, but when he's like 70% owned and his EO is probably going to be close to 200%. But I do think this week, if any, if you're looking to go elsewhere, could be one where he doesn't necessarily haul.
So tell me who to go for instead.
The top. Well, I was trying to work out who the top candidates were. So I think Isak is obviously right up there. So 7 games in a row now that he's scored. 8 if in all comps if we include that cup game away against Arsenal. So without question, the best striker in the league at the moment. So since the return from injury in game week 8, he's averaged 7.8 points per game, and that's all games, and 7.1 points per game at home. So that home figure is despite 2 blanks in games against Brighton and West Ham, but also 2 11 pointers at home to Leicester and Poole. So I suppose that you haven't necessarily got the consistency Salah's got, but he is able to deliver well. In the last 4 game weeks, he's also top for XG, 3.7. That's amongst all players. And Newcastle as a team are performing well, so it's not like it's any fluke. Obviously, they're gone away to United, Arsenal and Spurs recently and won. And in the league, they're second for XG. Wolves, though, on the other hand, are they've improved in the last 4 games since the new manager's come in. They've got an expected goals conceded of just 4.4, which is actually the 4th best. I suppose you've got to factor in the fact that they played against 10 men against Man United, and they played against Forest, who are typically not high XG returners. So that's probably made the numbers look better than they are. But I think given Newcastle's form, I think you can almost overwrite Wolves as an option. I think that probably the thing that Isak doesn't have going for him as a top nail pick is that 1 fewer point for goals as a forward, as well as perhaps not being so good at picking up bonus points on top of that, as well as the clean sheet. So yeah, I think he's a good option, but I don't know if he's a great one. Palmer's obviously there or thereabouts, probably a little bit because of the fixture as well. So he's been a bit patchy recently. So in the last 6, he's actually had 3 double-digit returns and 3 blanks. So a bit feast or famine. And at home this season, he's ranked better than Isak for points. So he's averaged 8.7 points per game and is the 3rd highest scoring player overall. As mentioned, though, last 4, he's been a bit patchy, and Chelsea as well, who are firmly mid-table now. Why do you think that is? They've dropped to firmly mid-table for XG. Just 5.2 in 4 weeks.
I mean, they started talking about being in the title race, and then it went from downhill from there.
Yeah, it's strange. Like they just seem to have nothing in the way of preventing them from being good. They were playing in form, they were rotating their team, and then they've hit Christmas and they've just gone just shot right down the other way. So
too many what they called pigs and blankets.
Too many pigs and blankets over Christmas. Yeah, it's just 4 games now in a row and no wins. So back to Palmer generally, though, 13 key passes, so in the last 4 game weeks, that's the highest of all players. 4 big chances created, which is why basically for him, when he has returned, even though he's only got a single return, he's usually picking up 3 bonus points because of those key passes, and that's obviously elevated his returns to be double figures, which, for a captain, that's what you want. And I think what you've got with facing Bournemouth, who, despite having the same expected goals conceded as Wolves, 4.4 in the last 4 game weeks, and they've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4, the fact that they've now lost both of their strikers to long-term injury in Evan Nilsson and Unal, like, there's a bit of uncertainty about who's going to be, who's going to return the goals. Kluivert's main source of goals have been through pens. Semenyo's taken more shots than I could shake a stick at, and he doesn't rarely convert. So
makes me want to play Cucurella for sure. But
definitely, I think that attack will definitely fall off a cliff. And when Jefferson is who they've got back,
probably buy Solanke, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I know. Get him back. Yeah, so I think he looks good for the clean sheet point at a minimum, and I would expect him to get some returns because I don't think Bournemouth are going to be able to offer much going forward. So yeah, that's my bit on Palmer. On Bruno, I think he's the outside shout. I know earlier in the chat, Biblical Reaction was talking about who to get this week, whether to get Diaz to Bruno or Watkins to Mateta. I think United are primed at the minute for like a good run, but they're so flaky. It's hard to be sure of them. So their fixtures in the short term are good. Southampton at home this game week, obviously, who've just got womped 5-0 at home by Brentford. Then it's Brighton.
Are they going to get womped again though? Well, does that ever really happen?
Yeah, I kind of think not. I think on paper it looks like a good fixture, but with that like week to prepare and knowing how easily United's confidence can get knocked, I could absolutely see Southampton scoring like the first goal and United scraping like a 1-1 draw or just a 2-1 win. So yeah, I think the fixture looks good on United for paper, but based on how they've been against lesser teams this season, I'm just a bit like...
At the same time, like, Southampton are like pretty terrible. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw the interview from their manager who took over. He just seems like shocked at how bad they were.
Like, oh, really?
How bad like his team were, and they put up like not even a single bit of fight against them. It was it's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but I feel like they could easily have another manager change before the end of the season because they are doing so bad. And bless them, like, it's fair enough. Some team has got to be the worst in the league, and it just so happens it's them, and they're like a lot worse. So yeah, it depends what their morale's like. But yeah, losing 5-0 at home, and the goals they were conceding against Brentford, they were just wide open. Half the crowd had left. Yeah, I just think that they could have a few more batterings this season. So yeah, that makes, I think, Bruno an outside shout for captaincy. You'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but he's actually returned three returns in his last 4 games, despite the ban and the red card. And he's played 9 games at home so far this season. He's blanked in 4 of them, which obviously is not that necessarily reliable for a captain pick, but his returns actually have generally been good. So 5, 10, 17, 9 and 9 when he has returned, all fairly good. He's average of 6.1 points per game, so worse than Palmer, worse than Isak. But if he does return, it's towards double digits, and which is, I think, what you want as a minimum for a captaincy. But like we just talked about, United are 3 losses and 1 draw in the last 4, so even though they got that miraculous draw against Liverpool, it's not like their form is good and you can rely on them. So confidence, I think, could still be a factor. And they're 6th worst for XG, they're 5th worst for expected goals conceded. So yeah, there's nothing really that fills United from what we've seen with confidence, but it's apart from like the one performance against Liverpool, but it's on paper it looks like a good fixture. And Southampton's defence has been woeful. 8.5 expected goals conceded.
Feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation with United. Like, if you don't own them, they'll probably do really well. If you do, then they'll probably blank. So good luck with that, I guess.
Yeah, I do. Like you and I both sold Bruno and got Gordon this week, and it's funny that they matched each other. But I feel like much happier owning Gordon than Bruno.
Yeah, I sold Bruno because I was just like, not sure. And then they put in that performance against Liverpool. Obviously, he returned.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, oh my god, I want him back for Southampton home. But yeah, not sure.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I'm just unsure about. I've owned him twice so far this season, and obviously, typically, did you get him straight for Saka? No, you didn't. When did you get Bruno?
It must have been for Saka, yeah.
Yeah, I got him for Saka when Saka got. I thought, maybe he didn't. Yeah, I got him for Saka, and yeah, it just did not go well. I benched.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just awful. So, yeah, but he has the vague form at home to be decent. And then finally on alternate options, like the thumbnail suggests, with meat back on the menu, and like I talked about a little bit earlier, with Saka out and Trent perhaps not essential, and a host of cheap defenders doing well. You mentioned Hall, as Kirkes, obviously Forrest have been doing well. I don't think he's totally inaccessible at 14.8 million. And 21 points in the last 2 game weeks, like you mentioned, 5th highest scoring player in that time. Last 4 game weeks, 13 and 8. Away from home, he's averaged 6.9 points per game and is still the 4th highest scoring player away from home, even though it absolutely does not feel like it. I think our expectations for Haaland are so high because of the price, but he's more than capable of getting 2 returns away from home. But it's just City's form is unreliable at the moment.
I think I heard a commentary the other day saying in the Newcastle Liverpool Cup game, or was it Newcastle Spurs? I can't remember who it was. But yeah, someone said that Isak was like the best striker in the country, and I was just like, okay. Like, I mean, I guess that shows like the form recently of Haaland, that Isak is now literally the best striker in the country, apparently. So
I think it is just like the short-term bias, isn't it? Like Haaland has been like amazing for 2 seasons consistently, and admittedly he's playing in like at that time a better team, creating him more chances, but he scored well. I suppose maybe what they're saying is when times are tough for City, he suffers as well.
Yeah, that's why I am tempted to like wildcard or just like try and get him in, but at the same time, like the way to do that is probably removing Liverpool players, but then they've got a double coming up, so it's just like, does that make sense? Because
probably not.
No, because although the double hasn't been like confirmed, it seems to be likely that it's probably around 24, something like that. So that's only a few weeks away, and selling them, and they got Ipswich at home after the next game. So after this,
the Brentford game.
After Forest. So there's still good fixtures in there for like Trent at home versus Ipswich sounds great, but they'll probably concede, won't they? So that'd be annoying. Yeah, anything else on captaincy? Do you want to finish on?
Well, it was obviously just I think probably at this point, just mentioned Salah, because obviously he's still a top option, and he has been reliable for points. But then it's just really to get like I've mentioned all these people, and then just to get your input on what you're thinking, because I've sort of said that I'm wavering on it, and I'd just be interested. I've got a lot of faith in Forest, I think, because I've had their players.
Yeah.
That makes me think there's no way Milenkovic is conceding against Salah, but you probably haven't got that bias.
Yeah, honestly, I barely even thought about captaincy this week. I'm tempted by Palmer, but yeah, I might just leave it on Salah. But I kind of like the Leicester fixture for Palace, which obviously seems crazy. That's proper punty.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I like Mateta, I like Sarr in that fixture.
I see. Okay, right.
Never gonna. Well, yeah, possibly.
What?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's proper punty, so I probably won't do that. But I do like that fixture. And then Isak probably does seem like a good one too. So, yeah, I don't know. When you're not sure, you probably just leave it on Salah, I guess. That might be where I just do it.
Yeah. That's interesting. You hadn't really thought. As soon as the bus team loaded in, I was like immediately like, I'm doing Palmer this week.
Yeah, I've been too concerned with like the players on my bench, who's going to play. Like, do I bench someone like Trent? Do I play Cucurella? Do I play Rodgers? Like, I've had too many issues with how much money I've got on my team on the bench that like over Christmas, which was supposed to be a good thing, was never really needed, and it's just I guess it's all the money from not owning Haaland that I've spread it too much now.
Yeah, to get back to Haaland for you would be, you're right, it would need a wild card or like 5 transfers.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, probably would.
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
Should I just finish on like the final matchup we wanted to talk about? We have talked about Bruno and Southampton. So yeah, Man United's last form obviously has been pretty bad. Last 6 loss, win, triple losses in a row, then a draw, and obviously the draw was against Liverpool. So I mean, that's not even a win still. So like they played well, but they still didn't get a win. Yeah, their XG, as you said, 8.2, which is 11th. XGC of 8.5, 11th. Yeah, but on the other side, Saints' form is obviously loss, draw, loss. So yeah, terrible. Their XG is 4.2, which is 19th in the league. Their XGC is 13.5, which is 20th in the league at the moment. So, United's form basically looks the same as Southampton's right now, other than just like one win in there. But like Saints are kind of going for the worst record points total. It seems like they're, maybe they've got a bet on with all their players to just lose all the games and beat Derby's record points of, I think it was like 7 or something, wasn't it, like that? I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it's low. So yeah, United did look obviously really improved versus Liverpool, and arguably were the better team and arguably should have won that game. But the midfield of Mainu and Ugarte looked really good together finally. Delo and Mazraoui were actually attacking wing backs. Like Delo was very attacking in that game, which surprised me because I just think he's usually terrible, but he was actually getting quite far forward. Obviously, Bruno, Ahmad, and Højlund did link pretty well. So I think obviously this fixture is there for them to do well. So Brentford hadn't won away all season last week, and then they went there and beat Saints 5-0. So they are a get right team to face. And if Man United don't slaughter them, then maybe there is no hope for United and Amorim. So unfortunate if they don't, I think. But yeah, Bruno, as we said, 8.3 million, 9% owned. So he's a differential. Like we talked about Mbeumo being so reliable. I'm looking at my transfers to get Bruno back, and it's just like it's probably because of this fixture. Last 6, 9, 9, 2, -2, 0 and 7, and as you said, like if you take out the red card in the ban, it's 3 returns and 4, and good fixtures coming up, so you can keep him for a bit. His stats not great. 15 shots, 3 big chances, XG of 1.98. 14 key passes, but then 0 big chances created and an XA of 1.01. So like the stats not great as I just said, but the 0 big chances, a little bit of stands out as as someone who's playing basically the 10 role should be creating a lot more. His XA is only 1 over the last 6, like that's not high either. So I'm a little bit worried about the idea that he's not creating much right now. So but yeah, 3 home games in the next 4, which is Southampton, Brighton, and they got Fulham away and then Crystal Palace at home. So those 3 look amazing in the next 4 for home game. 8 returns at home versus 3 away. So I think it's probably a good time to just get on him and see what happens.
Get on Bruno.
Get on Bruno, just like why not for the next 4? Like 3 of the next 4 at home and the other one's Fulham away. Like that seems like a decent chance. You just give him those 4 fixtures and see what happens. Then there's Ahmad if you want to go there, 5.3 million, 15%. So he's higher owned than Bruno, obviously due to his price. So he's still looking to me like a good enabler for those fixtures, and it appears to be nailed on this team. Obviously scoring against Liverpool last minute is not going to hurt his chances for playing. Saints conceded 44 goals, which is 19th in the league at the moment. 89 big chances, which is dead last as well by some distance as well. So and then Saints concede most of their chances through the middle, where Ahmad should be able to drift into. 56% of the chances conceded, and that's I think also should be a good sign for Bruno, who's obviously going to be around that sort of middle area, just behind Højlund. So it's a tough one just because they are so flaky, but at the same time that run is worth considering. I think Bruno, Ahmad, probably the best options. The defense, not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get like 3 clean sheets out of the next 4 as well. So it's probably really never happened, but it could.
It's so tricky to judge. Like I just have got Ahmad up on screen I've got Bruno up on screen as you've been just talking about it. But like if you look at their form since Amorim's come in the league, only 2 wins, admittedly against City away, and then the one you would expect would be that Everton home game where they won 4-0.
Yeah, they need to show up against the worst teams.
They did, yeah. They see, yeah. It's just the surprising losses I think in that lot are Bournemouth and Wolves. Like Forest are good, and I suppose losing at home is a bit of a surprise. And maybe not putting up more of a fight against Newcastle. The other ones you can kind of understand, away against Arsenal, away against Liverpool not winning, but there's just still a little bit of you don't know what you're going to get, which is, when you buy or you want to try and buy assured points, I think it's difficult to bank on them. I don't think, having owned Bruno twice now this season, I don't think I'll get him a third time, despite the fixtures. Yeah. But Ahmad for slightly less could be, I could be tempted into, especially if João Pedro's out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I've got around that price, I've got Sarr and Rodgers is playing Everton away. Sarr's got Leicester away, so I'm just like not looking in that price bracket. So yeah, it's it's just like my team is just all over the place. So I'm just not sure.
He's not a bad price, 5.3. His ownership is way higher than I expected, 16%.
Yeah, makes sense. It's cheap and able. Yeah.
He's been playing lots of minutes. Yeah, no, I think he could be a as good a shout, to be honest, as Bruno for these next games.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we talk about our teams for wrapping up?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a funny day to do this. Like, I can't believe the FA Cup started. We wanted to get ahead of that, and then the game week starts on Tuesday evening, and then there's another quick turnaround for the Saturday after. So, silly season doesn't start at the moment.
Indeed.
I've got your team. I've got your team on screen now. Team on screen.
So yeah, it kind of picks itself a little bit at the moment. It's look at that bench. There's just way too much money on that. Way too much funds on it. And yeah, Pedro. Like obviously, I don't mind Rodgers coming in for Pedro if Pedro's out, which is fine. And then I want to play Cucurella, but I think it would be benching Trent. And just that seems really odd. So I don't know. Liverpool looked a lot better in the cup when Trent came on, which is good. But I don't know. I think they're probably conceding. And is he doing anything against Forest away? Not sure. So that looks like it could be like a 1-pointer for Trent. Whereas Cucurella could be, a clean 6-pointer, hopefully. So I'm considering Cucurella, but I could play him. I could play Cucurella instead of Gabriel, but that seems tricky as well. The fixture for Gabriel's not great for a clean sheet chances. Like Spurs are doing well attacking wise, but Gabriel is such a threat at set pieces, and obviously Spurs defense is really bad. So I don't think Gabriel will be benched. So I've got 2 free transfers, 0.9 in the bank. I've been looking at like Sarr and people like that out to try Sarr and like Trent out to get Sarr, Trent. Actually, no, it was Saab, Cucurella, and Robinson to like Bruno. I think it was Mikalenko, and then like a 4.0, which I could do for a hit, but doesn't sound great. But at the same time, like I look at my team, and it's like I could probably just roll that too. Yeah. But I'm missing out on good players this week. And, that
who do you think you're really missing out on this week then?
Well, I guess it probably is those United players, and then.
They're not that highly owned, are they? Really?
No,
so
not really.
Not hurt you.
No.
Bruno's
and that's probably it, 10%. Really. To be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just tricky because of like your expensive bench, and that's probably why you thinking about it. Like, there's absolutely merit. You could play Cucurella over Trent this week, but maybe not the other two for me. But that's what just makes it tricky.
Would you play Cucurella over like João Pedro if he's going to be out?
Yeah. I think that. Yeah,
but would you put Cucurella first bench instead of Rodgers, who's got Everton away?
Yeah, that's the dialogue.
And then Robinson, like West Ham away, like obviously that's a good fixture too. So, but he's probably got the worst on paper just because of the new manager bounce. But so does Rodgers. So, is against a new manager too. So, although they haven't got one yet, have they?
No.
Leighton Baines, he's Everton. Yeah,
looks like they're going to get Moyes back, which seems a bit strange.
Yeah, don't love that. So,
just quickly on Pedro, if he's apparently had a MRI scan, which sounds, like it could be fairly serious, but I suppose it's just it's just procedure. If he's out, would you just bench him for a little bit, or we might get a press conference next?
I think I'd probably start to get onto Wood, just because he's doing so well. Makes sense, and they've got decent-ish fixes coming up, haven't they? So, I think I've probably not owned him for long enough, and he just keeps scoring, even though his stats are really quite
bad, aren't they? But he just needs one chance.
Yeah, exactly. So it probably would be Wood.
Yeah, no, I think he's if you don't have him.
But at the same time, I'd love to get rid of Jackson. But I'll probably keep him for the next two because the fixtures are good for Chelsea. So I think he probably needs a stay of execution for the next two. And then I'd like to get Haaland, but Haaland would require quite a bit of surgery. Yeah, exactly. So
you'd probably have to get him for Jackson, wouldn't you?
And I'd probably and then I've still got Pedro in there, and it just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, tricky one. And then because you're not sure, probably Salah captain.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Or I think I might try and pick a home fixture. So maybe it's Palmer or Isak if it's not Salah, which obviously sounds obvious.
We haven't got many votes in our poll, but what I can see is that it's fairly split. Salah's down at 20%, Isak 40%, and Haaland 40%. So interesting, no one's vote Palmer. But it's not like a clear runaway winner, which is kind of what I thought it would be, despite how good Salah's form's been.
So who are you leaning towards?
Yeah,
show your team, I guess.
Yeah, I've been pretty set on Palmer, to be honest, since the game week flicked round. I just feel like I know that Forest are good, and whilst I know Salah is obviously really good, I think the fact that they played against Spurs and it proved he could blank, and he's blanked against Forest once so far this season, I feel like they could make it difficult. Maybe he could have. I think it's probably going to be his hardest game of the season, maybe bar the Arsenal away game, which is admittedly he scored 10 points in. But yeah, I think there's enough chance there to do something different, and Palmer at home to Bournemouth looks good to me. So yeah, don't know, just fancy it. I'm not really trying to let anything affect my. I think when the game week rolls around and you make your bus team, I kind of feel like you've made your decision on things without being influenced by anyone else, if that makes sense. So quite set on Palmer. Otherwise, I think the team's all right this week. I'm benching Milenkovic for the first time in ages because I do think Liverpool will probably score, and Castagna away at West Ham doesn't seem too bad. I've only got one free transfer. If Pedro's
are you fine with Milenkovic coming in for Pedro?
Yeah, I think maybe do that. I really want to get Hall, but he seems to have good fixtures at the same time Milenkovic does, and there would be a bit of a benching headache between Trent, Gabriel, Milenkovic and Hall. So I'm not really sure, even though I do like him a lot, and I don't really think I'm ready to transfer out Milenkovic at the minute, just because he has been so good for me. So yeah, I don't know, I'm a bit unsure about this week. Am I either going to roll and let Pedro be benched, or my favoured striker for Pedro would probably be Solanke or Mateta, just because they're both reliable for minutes.
Could you afford Mateta?
Yeah, I've got 2.3 million in the bank at the minute.
That seems like a fun way to go.
Yeah, he seems. Yeah, it's just that he's not been that reliable this season. It'd be interesting. I know people in the chat said they were looking at Milenkovic, but Mateta, but he's not been, considering the amount of minutes he's played. He's only got 6 returns this season. It's not.
I think he's got 8 goals though so far, so it's not too bad. In the cups as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the fixtures for you to just play him and see what happens.
Yeah, the next 3 look good: Leicester, West Ham, Brentford. So I might do that, but yeah, him or Solanke would probably be my top 2 replacements. But yeah, I'm not really sure yet. I'll see what happens with Pedro. Maybe do one of those. I was thinking that I wanted to build up some transfers ahead of the double, but I don't really need to do that very much because I'm not going to get more than Pickford, and I've already got 2 of 3 Liverpool players, so I don't need to take a hit to do that. And I'm actually thinking really far ahead for my Liverpool spicy pick. My 3rd Liverpool player is probably going to be McAllister, because I don't trust the double. Yeah, don't trust the double defense. But he's been a double game week beast. Do you remember last season at Liverpool had a double game week and he was the top scorer? And then
I do not remember that, but yeah.
Season before when he played for Brighton, he got a 16 or 18 pointer. So I'm kind of fancying McAllister as a really outside punty punt for my double game week. So yeah, he's an easy get. So I don't really need to worry too much about planning for that. And then it's a long way away until the blanks in game week 29. So
yeah,
it's all rosy at the minute, I think.
And then the assistant manager, not considering slot because he's 1.5 million, the most expensive for that. I think it's triple captain time for us on that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be triple captain time for me then, so I probably won't have slot. So yeah, I think triple captain probably seems I don't know, slightly more powerful than the assistant manager.
Yeah, probably. I think so. Salah probably will play both games, and it looks like it's going to be really good fixtures for them. So it makes sense to me. Potter coming at 0.5, one of the cheapest at West Ham, I think is quite interesting. I surely they're going to get better. Like they do have a good squad, and they've just not been up to potential yet. So I quite like Potter. Amorim at 0.8 million. They're going to be facing teams that are above them quite a bit.
That's quite good.
That's not bad. Like there's more expensive ones like than I thought there would be. Like Howe is 1.5 million. Maresca like at Chelsea at 1.5 million. I didn't expect that. Emery at 0.8. I thought that was low. Frank at 0.8. I thought was kind of high. So interesting.
I've got it up on the screen now. Yeah, I like Glasner and Amorim, to be honest, because Palace's fixtures are good at the moment. Yeah, United are obviously way out of position, so any wins they get against teams higher up. Yeah, I need to spend time having a look at that. But no, I think I'll probably play triple captain. It's a lot to take in, the assistant managership.
Yeah, I think it's probably just going to be like, get whoever the hell you can. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
Cool, we'll think more about that next week.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week with a very, very short show in between the 2 game weeks, so probably next Thursday or Friday again.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Geek.
Yeah, thanks all.
Bye, guys.